Be careful who you let narrate your scary stories. I write scary stories. I post them here, the subreddit you're on right now. You might recognize my name from a few stories here and there, but that's not a big deal. I hate to break it to you, but a lot of those stories are fiction, fake, including most of my own. Or so I thought. I'm here today to warn those of you who share your stories here, careful who you let narrate them. Any of you who regularly post stories on here have almost certainly received messages from various YouTubers and podcasters who want to narrate your stories on their channels. But for those of you who are simply here to read and not to write, they always follow a similar pattern. Hey, I loved your story and I have a creepypasta YouTube channel. Can I read your story on it? I'll give you credit in the description. If you're like me, I always give a polite go ahead and let them have at it. So, when I got a message one day from someone named asking to read one of my stories on his YouTube channel, I indulged him and paid no further mind to it. The story he chose was one that I quite liked, a story of a man working at a hotel where random guests seemed to keep vanishing for no apparent reason. Now, they always say to write what you know, so I tend to set all my stories in my hometown and the place where I currently live, Edmonton. This hotel story was the same deal, taking place at the large Fairmont Hotel downtown. I always like to listen to my stories when they get narrated because it feels good to know someone liked a story enough to read it on their channel. As such, once the recording got posted, I popped into his channel to give it a listen. The channel was small, without many subscribers and maybe only a dozen videos posted so far. Oh well, I thought, everyone's got to start somewhere. The narrator had a good voice, good pacing, and evidently a high-quality microphone because the narration was top tier. I subscribed myself to his channel, looking forward to more of his narrations, and then pushed it out of my mind and went about my day. I know I probably should, but I rarely keep up with the news and usually learn about things secondhand from friends or family. I was pouring myself the first mug of coffee for the day in the break room at work when two of the girls who work in our quotes department happened to walk by me chatting to one another. They both said good morning, which I returned, and they carried on with their conversation. I wasn't paying much attention to it, I'll admit, but I caught one odd part of their conversation, that they had mentioned something about the Hotel Fairmont being in the news. That's weird, I thought, as I returned to my desk. I still had a good 20 minutes until my shift actually started, so I quickly popped open the internet and Googled the Fairmont Hotel. I was immediately confronted with a slew of local news articles that detailed a breaking story. A large number of recent disappearances and missing persons cases had all been linked in some way or the other with the Fairmont Hotel. What a coincidence, I thought to myself. Guess I have the ability to predict the future. I laughed to myself, closed Google, and started my shift. The day passed uneventfully. I got back home around 6, had myself a quick dinner, and sat down on the deck with a cigarette and my laptop, feeling inspired to work on a few of my stories. I got a bit of work done, but I didn't have anything finished, so I decided to browse around on this sub to see what other people were writing. As I opened Reddit, I had a few messages, and one of them was from again, asking if he could read another one of my stories. I told him he didn't need to ask and could read any of them that he wanted. He sent me a thank you, and I went back to my reading. It wasn't until almost a week later, when I was driving through downtown, that I had to pull my car over to the side of the street in confusion. An entire city block had changed. Not just changed, but disappeared. Where before there were a number of apartment buildings was now an entire city block that had been turned into a church along with a graveyard. A full graveyard. I sat in silent confusion in my car as I read the name of the church on the sign out front. The Church of St. Denis. I had written a short story about a church with the same name located on the same city block. The problem was, the church was fictional, and the address where it was in the story was a bunch of apartments. But now it was here, as if it had been there for years. I pulled out my phone and Googled the Church of St. Denis to learn that a week ago, a headless body had been found on the steps of the church, which was the exact plot of a story I had written. I quickly went to YouTube and pulled up this channel, posted exactly 1 week ago. The same day the news stories were dated to was a narration of my story that was set at the Church of St. Denis. I drove back home as quickly as I dared, my hands getting slick with sweat to the extent that it was hard to hold on to the steering wheel. I raced back inside and turned on my computer as fast as I could manage. I opened Reddit and was muttering to myself, come on, as I furiously scrolled to find the one story that I desperately wanted to delete from my account. I found the story and clicked delete, erasing it from my page as I sighed with relief, leaning back in my office chair. That's when the notification popped up. I had a new message from him. Hi, friend. I've just posted another story of yours. I hope you enjoy. I clicked the link. I was too late. I'm writing this to warn you all. I don't know what good it will do. Maybe I just wanted to give you all a heads up so you don't have to live in ignorance. Maybe I just can't be the only one who has the knowledge of what's to come. I'm sorry. I'm sorry I ever wrote that story. I'm sorry that I gave that thing the right to read my stories. I don't know what else to say. Has just posted a new video. The world is about to end, and there is nothing we can do about it.